Hello, everyone. Welcome back with the 11th episode of our podcast. It's called Road to the Superbowl, and we are back with Denver Broncos. We are going no huddle offense because we need to really put our opponent, which in this case is a deadline, because I want to give you all the episodes before the draft day, which I'm definitely going to be streaming live, especially like the first day. I'm not sure about next days, but we have work to be done. We are lagging behind. We are in in a bit of let's say that the opponent is winning a bit. But today, this marks the third episode that I'm recording for you today. You might not get it in the same day in terms of when I upload them, but we are definitely flying. You don't have to worry. The preparation for this has been done. Just like with any no huddle offense, it's not like we are taking it just quickly because we need to. We are just taking it quickly because we can, because the preparation for all the series is done. For you guys that are new to this, what is this all about? We are taking you behind the eyes of general manager of every single team in the NFL. What we are trying to do here is give you more of a perception about the team, not in terms of, I like this guy, let's play him, he's exciting. Are these guys for the contract? How should we operate with our draft picks? When we should try to optimize when we go for a Super Bowl? Like, how can we make our Super Bowl window as wide as we can? And we try to take this look for every single team. We do it with like 3 to 4 phases. First one is we're gonna take a look at what this team did last season, how did they perform. Then we're gonna take a look at the free agency. After that, we're gonna do, let's say, not thorough rundown of the room. We are not gonna be talking about like 70 players. It's mostly like 25, 30 that I feel like are the most valuable, most impactful, or have a chance to be these guys. Also, we are going to talk about the guys that are no longer on the roster, but they were a severe contributor last season and they just have not been re-signed or they have been cut. Throughout that, or as a single topic after that, we will be talking about 3 issues or topics for every single team that I feel like characterizes their situation. So for the Denver Broncos, it's going to be burn it down, represents kind of cutting several players. Russell Wilson, of course, is the one that's been the most heavily talked about, and kind of trying to take retooling year in which they will probably try to find guys that they can operate towards the future, but it's not like you expect Denver to do something this year. This will coincide with NFL record in dead cap. I mean, it's 85 millions that they will be paying Russell Wilson not to play for them, just in terms of dead cap that they will have to have spread over 2 seasons. It's above 50 and next year it's about 30. So that's a record. Kudos to you, Broncos. We will talk about the situation much more in depth when we go and talk about the QBs. And also, like, these 3 topics I think are highly connected because, how they cannot be, because it's 2 years ago when in the offseason Denver Broncos were like, we are going to pay for our franchise guy. They made a huge trade with Seattle Seahawks to bring Russell Wilson in. They gave him a huge contract with a lot of guaranteed money, and he is no longer on the roster. What happened? What happened? And what happened? Yeah, that's going to be, I think, the main discussion, the main topics that the main topic that I will go through and through within this team. And before we start, I want to make a personal, like an apology in some sort of way, because I don't think I will be super unbiased in this debate or in this rundown, because I like Russell Wilson, and I mean, being cut is one way, but being kind of threatened to be benched if you don't change some guarantees in your contract, that's some next level bullshit that Denver Broncos management tried to pull on Russell Wilson. I'm not sure how much Sean Payton was involved, but yeah, I have personal issues with the way they handle the situation, and also, like, I'm Russell Wilson's fan, so that does not help the situation. But I will try to be as unbiased as I can, but this really sucked to me last year. So with no further ado, let's take a look at what this team did last season. And after like 2023, 2022, they brought Sean Payton to kind of salvage the situation, salvage Russell Wilson, and bring Denver back on track to where they believe they could go. And from the beginning, this seemed like quite a weird pairing to me because Russell Wilson doesn't match what Sean Payton looks in a QB for, and I feel like Russell Wilson tried. He lost some weight to be more mobile than he was in 2022, and he tried to accommodate to the Sean Payton's wishes. And I feel like he played decent football up until their bye week. Before the bye week, they have actually beaten Kansas City Chiefs, but during the bye week, the general management threatened Russell Wilson to bench him if he does not waive some clauses in terms of injury that he had guaranteed in his contract. And yeah, like, I mean, what are you doing? Like, this is a no-no to me, huge no-no. Like, you can definitely talk to a player like, look, Russ, this situation is not working out the way we wanted it. We've brought Sean Payton here. We gave you a lot of money. We gave away our future in terms of picks for you. So can we try to do something about the contract? Because your play doesn't add up to this. Like, have this mature discussion. I'm not sure Russell Wilson would take any sort of pay cut or whatever because he didn't have to. But that to me would be, okay, like, you name the problem. This is not working the way it's supposed to. You are not performing up to the contract we've given you. Can we try to do something about that? Because we feel like if we don't, this thing ain't going nowhere. We try to bring Sean here, but he needs to have more money to spread around in order to make this work. And I think that's an adult conversation. That's something you definitely can do. I'm not sure it would work, but I would have zero blame for you if you tried. But if you go, like, you do this or we bench you, you are going to waive some clauses from your contract that will allow us to essentially cut you for cheaper. I'm like, why would Russell ever say yes to this? And the second thing is, and that's where like I'm not sure I like buying 100% into Russell Wilson's point of view, because he's saying like, I would not cave, not only because of me, but this would allow general management or the ownership of the clubs to have even more leverage over the players, and maybe other players would not be in as comfortable situation financially as Russell is, because Russell is obviously a really wealthy man. He had several huge contracts. He is married to Ciara, who is maybe outgaining him in terms of money because she's a famous singer, and yeah, he's definitely set. So I like Russell, so I am not calling it an absolute bullshit like PR stuff that he tries to make it better, but I'm not sure if that's 100% the case. Yeah, so yeah, I'm trying to be as unbiased as I can, but overall this was some next level bullshit in my opinion. I'm not sure if this was not the play since the beginning, because like I said, it felt like a really weird match with Russell and Sean to begin with. Then they actually played Russell for a couple more games just to bench him, like, I don't know, it was like week 12 or something like that. So obviously the season did not go to plan, but it seemed like the momentum has been crushed by this move, because really, after the disastrous start to the season when they gave up 70 points to Miami, like the defense was atrocious, they start to pick up the pieces, and they actually beat Kansas City Chiefs, which is something they have not done like 6 years before that. And to crash that momentum with this, yeah, that really feels like a stupid thing to do. Not only stupid, but also immoral, highly, in my opinion. But let's move past this, because okay, let's not, because that to me just signaled this is like, not only that this move like kind of crushed their any hopes that they would have at that point of the season last year, because like how do you go back from that? Like I don't know. Like, I think Russell tried to take it as a professional. He played, and he played well. Obviously not to his former self. Like, I'm not going to say that he was a guy that he was in Seattle. He, to me, played like 20 best quarterback in the league, which obviously doesn't add up to the money he's taking. But he did not play like some absolutely poor piss player that some maybe try to describe him as. Like, he is not washed. At least I did not see a washed QB out there last season. And with this move, I feel like you hugely influenced 2023. Like, it's not like you had a big shot to do anything meaningful at that point, but you still had a chance to at least make a playoff with the run that they were making. They seem to be in an upwards trajectory. Then you also said pretty much to the whole world, we are going to cut Russell Wilson. We are going to eat up all of the guarantees, and we are going to eat up 85 million in dead cap. Like, I'm not saying that you could like somehow swindle another team to take that contract and you still would be paying some guarantees, but it's like telling the world that you are fucked for at least 2024, because like with 53 or 51 million in dead cap for one season, it's super hard to do anything, especially when you still are missing some draft picks, not only because of Russell Wilson, but because you poached Sean Payton. You had to pay some draft compensation to the Saints. Yeah, and obviously from PR standpoint, I think this is kind of a nightmare situation for Denver overall. Not that, like, when Sean Payton came in, like, kind of the first thing he has done majorly was absolutely blasting the former head coach Nathaniel Hackett for doing the worst job possible, worst job in history of head coaching. So you already were pissing a lot of people off because it was called a no. You should not do that to a colleague of yours in a way. And then you do this. Like, I don't think there is many people who are like neutral that are like praising for Denver. Like, I don't see why. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's biased me, but I feel like Broncos fans will obviously cheer for them, but the rest of NFL are saying like, I mean, you are kind of deserved to the situation in which you are. That situation is really poor, and we're gonna discuss that further down the line. So what they've done in the offseason is really not much. They've cut Russell Wilson, they've cut Justin Simmons. So pretty much signaling we are taking this year to, we kind of try to accumulate as much of a dead cap that we can. We are not trying to push that cap or void years down the line. And with that, they also have like 13 millions for Randy Gregory and Justin Simmons in that cap. So it's like 67 just on free players and like 70 on all. And with that, like, we are trying to rebuild for 2025. So that's pretty much the offseason. Nothing major happened besides those cuts that were kind of signaled, especially Russell Wilson was kind of signaled. Justin Simmons, like, kind of makes sense because he's slightly older safety that I think he's still very good, but if you are not winning now, he's probably not in your window where you try to be good. So with that, let's check who is actually still on the roster, how this roster looks like, and we will start with weaponry. So we will talk about QBs, tight ends, running backs, and wide receivers. For you guys who want to watch, who want to maybe meet some players face to face in a way, or who you like my cool, hopefully, player cards, now is the time to put your glasses back on and we can check them out. So I give you a couple of seconds and we can start. Here we are, Jared Stidham, Russell Wilson, Ben DiNucci. For guys who are new to this, I will always show guys from 2023, guys that are on the roster for 2024, and maybe the guys that I would expect to have a major role, should have a major role, did have a major role, or they could be an interesting prospects here. Or in this case, like, I don't expect that much from Ben DiNucci, for example, but he's kind of their second best QB on the roster. So what do you want me to say? Like, their best is Jared Stidham, so maybe Ben DiNucci can win a starting job if the situation stays as it is. But let's go to the next guy, GMaty-NFL. With this, like, can you guys answer me down in the comments? Like, I know that you can pull players by their hair. Can you also pull by their by their beard? Like, because with GMaty-NFL, it feels like it might be with the realm of possibility that you can just grab his beard and drag him down. I mean, can you do it legally? I would assume that yes is the answer, because you can drag people by the hair, but I'm not sure. So guys, let me know if you know answer to that. Then you have Javonte Williams and Jalen McLaughlin, Cortland Sutton, Tip Patrick, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims, Adam Troutman, Chris Manhertz, Greg Dulcich, and Lucas Krull. So now give me another 30 seconds. When you already know what I'm going to do. You will get to see what the free agents, before the free agency, what this roster look like from like money-wise perspective, and how does it look right now. So with this, for newcomers especially, the red types of money are dead cap hit or void years, whatever you want to call it, or it's like in dead cap hit is already for the players who are not on the roster, but you are still paying cap hit for them, which, like I said, for Russell Wilson is 53 million this year and 32 next season. Like 85 million, absolutely crazy. Never ever in a history that has been paid. Like right now, Stefon Diggs with I think it's over 30 million. Like he set the record for the wide receiver, but Russell Wilson with his record overall is pretty much set. set to stay for history books for a while. Other than that, you only see blue players or blue numbers. That means no money are pushed down the line. So what do we have here? Not much, if we are honest. So we start with QBs, Jarrett Stidham, Ben DiNucci. Like I addressed in the topic, you are trying to find your future QB. I don't think Jarrett Stidham is the guy. Like similarly to Vikings, if the situation does not fall in your way in terms of draft, or your guy is not available with 12th pick, maybe you just roll with Jarrett Stidham because you are pretty much signing off the season. So maybe you rather don't put your new guy into an absolute mess that this team is gonna be this season most likely. And you know, if Jarrett Stidham works, great. You give him bridge contract and you have a QB for a couple of years. If he does not work, which is something that you expect, you should have high draft pick and you can get your guy next season. Ben DiNucci, kind of a name out there. Like he played some games, I think, for Cowboys, but yeah, he's a solid backup, nothing more. In terms of running backs, I think the situation is much more interesting. I think in GMaty-NFL you have kind of a good player for 4.5 million. Absolutely, I think here value meets production, so it's like a good contract for both sides. And then you have two guys that shown flashes, and especially in Javonte Williams, like you don't know what to think about this guy, because when he was on the field before 2023, he looked amazing. He looked absolutely amazing. But then he injured, and he kind of had really crushing injury. Like his knee was absolutely demolished. He tore his ACL, but in a weird way that it was really reported to be one of the worst case for his health. And when he came back last season, he just did not look that good. So, I mean, his highs was as good as an amazing starter, but last season performance was like decent starter, maybe. So to me, he's like unproven good starter. I don't think like I have any other good starter to be unproven, because to me, he is still unproven because of the way, if he can come back from that injury, like if he can get healthy, if he can rely on his speed the way he did before this injury, because it's not a guarantee for sure. And with Jalen McLaughlin, he got some carries, he played decently well. Again, I did not see that much to just give him a grade, but if I would, I would give him a decent starter, but he needs to prove himself in that area. In terms of wide receivers, you let Jerry Jeudy go for peanuts pretty much. I'm not disagreeing with this move. Like, you are trying to save some money. You are trying to, like, pretty much there was no chance that you were giving him a next contract. So getting at least something for him is kind of nice. And it allows Marvin Mims to have a better opportunity, start more games, play more snaps. And you kind of can see what you have in this guy whom you took, like, I think it was second or third round last year. With Cortland Sutton, I feel like he showed really good chemistry with Russell Wilson last year. He showed he can be like really good number 2 or really low end number 1 wide receiver. Tim Patrick, I mean, with Tim Patrick, it's kind of frustrating because his career is hampered by injuries a lot. So if he's out there, he probably outplays this decent starter mark, but it's been a while since he could show this on a tape, how like good he is. So until I see it, at least for some stretch, I cannot give him much more than decent starter here. So I hope he can stay healthy. I really wish it to him. Like, he did not play like any single snap last season, so we will see if he can come back to, I mean, hopefully being a good player. Overall, wide receiver room, like, you've seen worse, but it's really down there with the worst of it. Like, again, I would call this like D+ room, just because Cortland Sutton is, I think, a very good player, and Marvin Mims, there's perhaps some upside, but really nothing special to talk about. With tight ends, I mean, you are not paying here much. You don't have like exciting rookies or anything in this. I mean, Greg Dulcich is kind of your only shining light. You hope he still will develop, but at this point, this is kind of my room. Like, it's gonna be serviceable. It should not be like a major weakness, but it's definitely not something that you expect to push you or push fear into the opposing defenses. I just don't see any player out of these guys to make that. Yeah, overall, this is one of the worst offenses in the league for sure. Huge question marks regarding health, especially with Javonte Williams and Tim Patrick. And like, I don't know, like, if bringing QB into this mix actually is a good move. Like, they are being tied up to like Bo Nix with the 12th pick, and okay, like, I think he would outplay Jarrett Stidham for the job. But do you want to put him into the situation? Like, I'm not sure, man. Like, maybe you just try to either draft down, fill some holes in this roster because you don't have that many draft picks, or you try to address either pretty much the weaponry here, and you bring your QB into this mix next year, or you get lucky with Jarrett Stidham. So that's pretty much it. Overall, very bad weaponry. I'm not trying to like be nasty towards them. I think like if Tim Patrick and Javonte Williams are healthy and Jarrett Stidham can put some performances up, it could be, I don't know, D+ offense, but up to that point, to me, this is the D-, and I don't think it's very much controversial. Like, you have one good player, and it's Cortland Sutton here. And then Samaje Perine, Javonte Williams, yeah, but in terms of running back room, even good starters are kind of below the middle of the pack because there is so many good running backs in the league. That's also why they are not getting paid, right? That's pretty much all for the weaponry, and we will progress to the O-line, where some of the positives will definitely start to come by with this roster. So if you want to see the guys, now is the time to put your glasses back on and switch your attention towards the screen. So you are getting some more seconds, and now they are gone. Let's run through these guys. Garrett Bowles, Ben Powers, Mike McGlinchey, Quinn Miners, Lloyd Cushenberry, Alex Forsyth, and that's it. So this is where we were before the offseason started, and here we are right now. So you kind of see that I'm missing one person here, and that's Lloyd Cushenberry. And I've praised Titans for signing Lloyd, and I mean, what are you doing then? Why do you let this guy go? Like, I don't get that. I mean, yes, you are saying that this is not your year, but 4 year, 50 millions that he got from Titans. I mean, I think you can match that. And he's your guy. You picked him up. He played every single snap. He's been solid to good. Why are you letting him go? Like, I don't get it. And especially, like, if you would, like, when you saw the weaponry, it's like, okay, there's not many players to talk about. But if we at least put rookie QB behind the serviceable O-line, then okay, he can at least not to get smashed every single game, and that would be a good thing, obviously, right? And I'm not saying that this O-line without Cushenberry is anything to laugh at. It's definitely the best asset that this team has, like behind Pat Certain. But overall, as a unit, this is definitely the best unit Denver has. But I just don't get why you let go Lloyd Cushenberry that you drafted, that played well, that didn't require like too much money. I think he got a reasonable contract. I don't know, man. Why letting him go? Like, I don't get it. I think he coincides with your window for 25, 26. Yeah, man. I don't like that. I think with him you just have Alex Forsyth that you probably turn to a starting center, but he didn't show much, like pretty much nothing. And like with his draft pedigree, even if he showed some things, like he would be a good backup at best. And right now he's unproven solid backup. And it's kind of sad because the rest of the O-line is pretty impressive. With Garrett Bowles, I think you have a very good starter. Some would say that he is even better than that, but I have my reservation on Garrett Bowles, but I feel like he is definitely around top 10 left tackles in the league. And on the right tackle, Mike McGlinchey, serviceable guy, good starter. Is he a bit overpaid? Maybe. I would hope that he is more of like 16 rather than like $20 million cap hit every single season, but it's not something dreadful by any stretch of imagination. And then you have really good guys inside in Ben Powers. He is similar to Mike McGlinchey, that like he is a good player. For a guard, he is paid reasonably. Here I would not say that he's overpaid. Like I think his pay, especially on this year's guard market, is reasonable towards the production he has. And then you obviously have Quinn Myers, who I'm a huge fan of. I might have him a touch too high, but I'm really a huge fan of Quinn Miners. I feel like he is like how would you call him? Like I don't want to offend him, but I don't think he's kind of a bushman to me. Like he just looks like he came out from a jungle a bit. He used to like not go to fancy gym, rather he would be like chopping woods or fighting bears or whatever. And he has that mentality, like just he's the freak, not a freak of nature, but he's like this natural guy that kind of feels this way on the pitch, that he just puts the raw strength, puts the, like I would not say like primitive instincts, because I really don't want to make it negative about him, because I absolutely like it that he is just, he plays nasty ball. He's a really good run blocker, and I'm a really huge fan of Quinn Miners, and he's most likely going to get paid. I think somewhere in the area that Robert Hunt got. Like I would not be surprised if he got 20 millions next off season, 20 millions per year type of deal, because I think he's that good and he can still improve. So overall, With Cushenberry, I think this is close to like top 7 O-lines in the league. Without him, I think we are talking like 7 to 10. I feel like you missing the absolute elite piece here, and some of the guys are good but not great. And with Alex Forsyth, I'm not sure what you are getting in him, so I have to lower the status on this O-line like bit down. But overall, like this is definitely the strength of Broncos. So now, again, time to put your glasses back on because you are going to meet some defensive players for the Broncos. Ready? Let's go. So Zach Allen, DJ Jones, Eyoma Uwazurike. I'm really sorry if I misspelled this, but it's kind of hard to me to say these names as they should be. As like English is not my first language. I'm from Czech Republic, and this is kind of hard. So pardon me if I misspelled any of these guys. It's definitely nothing intentional, and you can maybe let down in the comments to say how I should spell them. And Jordan Jackson, Alex Singleton, Nick Bonito, Baron Browning, Drew Sanders, Josie Jewell, and Malcolm Roach. So here we are before the start of the off-season, and here we are right now. So you are not seeing any like major changes. Pretty much what happened is Zach Allen got his deal restructured, and they did not sign Josie Jewell back. So, where are we in terms of this group? Okay, let's try to find some positives. Yeah, shall we? Okay, let's do that. So Zach Allen, I think, is a nice piece. Yeah, yeah, nice piece in terms of an edge guy, defensive end. Like he's a good starter. I would say that his production is a bit underwhelming towards what his contract is, but it's not something ridiculously bad. But he does not have much help behind him. Like Baron Browning, alright, he's a decent starter. He can play outside a bit more, despite him being listed as inside linebacker here. And then you have Malcolm Roach, kind of throwback to, yeah, we know this guy from the Saints, so we take him. That's kind of, we've seen this with several signings here in Denver. And it's not like they have been success, right? So it's more of like the depth pieces. It's not like they have signed anyone major from the Saints, but it's again not like they would sign anyone that would bring like a lot of success to this. Guys, if you are hearing some cat noises, I'm kind of apologizing, but I have 2 new kittens, and they tend to play every time I try to speak, so they are kind of playing with each other and obviously making noises. So if that's disturbing to you, I'm sorry for that. If you like them, maybe one episode we can introduce them, but since they are new here, they are a bit distant still, because cats, they have their own heads. But let's get back to this roster. And then you have Eyoma Uwazurike, who he can improve. Like he is still fresh to the NFL, but yeah, like he should not be our like third best edge piece. And it's not like it's better inside when you have pretty much DJ Jones and like George Jackson can play, I guess, but yeah, there's really not many strength to talk about. With linebackers, in Alex Singleton, you might have the best player of this group, but it kind of says a lot about this group in general. Like there's no like there's no difference maker here. Like you have several guys that that work as a starters, that they are pushed in depth chart to the places that they should not be playing at, in terms of like this is the number one edge guy, this is number one inside guy. Like it's not their place. Like they are number twos at best. And with Alex Singleton, okay, like I can follow him as my number one linebacker, but it's not a nice group. There's not much of a promise. Maybe Baron Browning, maybe Uzurike can show some improvement, but overall this is gonna be one of the like bottom 5, bottom 7 groups for this position. One thing that I did not mention when talking about weaponry is signing of Josh Reynolds, 2 years, $9 million. Yeah, I think that's a good like number 3, number 4 option for this offense, especially when you know that Tim Patrick cannot stay healthy much a lot. So yeah, like having him as this piece is kind of workable to me. So yeah, good signing, nothing spectacular. Maybe you could challenge this signing with why do we even spend money, why we're not trying to get to the rollover cap. So spend as small amount as we can this season and put some money that we are not spending now to the next year's cap. But I would argue that whether you are getting a rookie QB or whether you handing a job to Jared Stidham, having at least some chance for these guys is essential. So I would say this is a worth investment. Now it's time to put your glasses back on because we are going to take a look at the secondary. Yeah, that's my cats. If you can hear that, that's definitely my cats. By the way, one thing that I have not mentioned with Uzurike, that he was suspended, or he is suspended for gambling. So definitely this type of issue starts to affect leagues more and more. I can say Sandro Tonali or Ivan Toney for Premier League in soccer or football. As for my European viewers, please, like I need to. This is a very touchy word for I think both American and European viewers, like football and football. So I try to stay out of the controversies here. But then you can obviously talk about the Ohtani translator. So yeah, it's getting to more and more. It's getting more and more headlights in a way. But let's go to the secondary, as I promised. Patrick Surtain, the second. Tremon Smith, Riley Moss, Damari Mathis, Kevon Williams, Jaquan McMillan, Justin Simmons, JL Skinner, BJ Locke, and Fabian Moreau. So here we were before the offseason started, and it felt like a decent group when you have 2 amazing stars for both safeties and cornerbacks, and you kind of have some pieces behind it. But they decided, we are no longer needing services of Justin Simmons. As I said, like I'm not like super down on that move because I feel like you need that space and he just doesn't coincide, I think, with your window. But still, you are going to hugely miss his production. You tried to bring Brandon Jones here to kind of replace Justin Simmons, and I'm like, no, like he's a decent starter, but like you just try to save money. Why are you bringing a guy that I don't think offers you many upsides, that you are actually committing to 3 years with like substantial money? It's not like a huge money, but it's substantial. And I feel like PJ Locke has definitely a good chance to outperform Brandon Jones. And you don't have that much depth, but I would say like there are some safeties that you can snatch late in this draft and give them a chance. think this is more about trying to find these diamonds in the rough, these steals from fifth round. And Brandon Jones kind of has a ceiling that everybody probably knows about. And like, you bring this guy if you need a floor. But I don't think you need a floor with Denver Broncos this season, because what is bad floor given you? Like nothing. Like, yeah, I would much rather have PJ Locke out there, even JL Skinner or whoever you draft, like third or fourth round, instead of Brandon Jones. And I'm not trying to like bash Brandon Jones or even like this contract. I don't think like it's necessarily a bad contract, but it just doesn't make sense to me with what I feel like Denver is trying to do. So yeah. Then to the positive note, you have Pat Surtain. You can already pick up his 50 option because he is an elite cornerback. Like, I almost dropped him down to just an amazing starter, but I felt like that would be a wrong decision, just because he's not as good as Sauce Gardner, and I really don't think he is. I just don't have a tier for. Like, I'm not gonna make a special tier for a guy that like is an above elite player. Like, I think Sauce Gardner is an above Pat Surtain, but I also think Pat Surtain is an elite cornerback. So I'm gonna make it I'm gonna say it out loud, but I think Pat Surtain is as good as it gets, as long as the good is not Sauce Gardner. But that's the only guy I would take over Pat Surtain in terms of cornerbacks. Behind him, you don't have much. Tremont Smith, Riley Moss, Damari Mathis. But yeah, those are the guys that I want out there. I want them to take snaps, and I want to find out who they are, if they can be there going forward. So pretty much like what Denver should expect from the season is something like Arizona did last year. You are trying to find the guys to be there 2026, 2027. You are trying to give your draft picks an opportunity to play, to find out what you have in them, try to develop them, because this is just not a year when you are expected to do anything. Is there a team that has a lower ceiling for this season than Broncos in their conference? I think Patriots might be slightly worse, and that's pretty much it. Like, I'm higher on Titans than perhaps many people are, but I'm higher on Titans than I am on Broncos for this season. Yeah, I don't think there's that. And it's okay. Like, I'm not trying to say that to bash Broncos, because I feel like they've done what the situation was bad, was very ugly, and they tried to address in the best manner that I believed they could. So, outside of Brandon Jones signing, I really like the offseason they had, like, given the circumstances, like, I'm not saying cutting Russell Wilson was a good move, but you kind of had no choice, like, given how the last season played out. And towards the end, we will talk about the coaches, and we finish up with what I think about their draft. So in terms of coaches, again, if you want to meet them, you need to put your glasses back on and you need to take a look at the screen. So I give you a couple of chances to do that, and we go from there. Okay, so Sean Payton, Joe Lombardi, and Vance Joseph. Obviously, Joe Lombardi is being brought from the Saints. Sean Payton worked with him. Where do I stand on Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi? To be honest, not that highly, because I kind of, I think it's kind of biased because of the way of Russell's situation. I feel like Sean Payton had some saying into that. Like, I definitely think he had, and that probably is biasing me. But overall, like, Sean Payton is obviously a great coach. I'm not sure if he is as good as people think, as good as he thinks for sure, because like, he was excellent with Drew Brees, with Saints 5 years ago. That was like his peak, I would say. But since then, the league has moved on in several new directions. Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay's of the world kind of took over. Mike McDaniels, Kevin O'Connell, this type of offensive young minds. And I'm not sure if Sean Payton is up there with these guys. So yeah. But overall, like, he is not a liability. Like, he is a guy that things kind of will go his way one way or the other, which I think it shows here in Denver. But overall, I like that he kind of, I would say, follow his pride in a way and say, like, yeah, we are going to take this year as a year of something they have never done in New Orleans, and we will get to that in 2 episodes. And another one that I'm really not gonna be very positive about, because because of what they do with the cap space and that cap hits. But yeah, like, Sean Payton is gonna be good. Joe Lombardi, I think, was doing decent enough job, like putting Russell back onto the map for like a good QB play. And Vance Joseph, I feel like, is again good defensive coordinator. I don't think he is special in this area, but I don't think he has problem. So overall, I am considering the staff as like the middle of the pack. I'm not like huge Sean Payton guy, so maybe I'm lower on this because of that. But yeah, I just would took several staffs over this. That kind of makes it the middle of the pack for me. In terms of special teams, I think both of these guys are a bit under average. Like, Willatz, again, brought from Saints. We've told that several times here with Sean Payton. Again, like, it could be a bit of a older coach bias. They tend to try to work with people they worked with quite well in the past. Maybe that goes into like what their actual qualities are, but I don't think that Sean made any outrageous signing in this sense. So I won't hold it against him for just now, but I can see this being a bit of a team here in Denver. But I think Willatz is a serviceable kicker. Lyle Dixon is like down there with like not great punters of this league, and yeah, like, okay, like it like I'm gonna say it, like, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, I don't think, if both of these guys are dreadful, I don't think it has a huge influence on the Denver season, because it's clearly a season that we are trying to develop. We are trying to find who our guys are, and that's pretty much it. In terms of draft, you have 12th overall pick, and then it's just 76, and then several late rounds that you actually acquired for some trades. So they actually have like 4 picks between number 121 and 147. So again, that's actually quite good for what they are trying to do. It's more picks. We are trying to put these guys to play, because we have rosters that is not very great, so they can have a chance to compete for a starting job. They have a chance to play, and we can see what we have in them. So I would not be surprised if next year, when we go through this, we'll say like they had 2 draft steals, because their 4th and 5th rounders are going to be playing, and maybe they will show that they should have been drafted much earlier. In terms of who I would draft for that number 12 pick, of what I would do with it, I think it's a tough conversation. I feel like it depends a lot on how the board will play out. I definitely don't think you should have a draft capital to draft up. So in the rare occurrence that JJ McCarthy, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, or Caleb Williams somehow, it's never going to happen, but like, if either of these 4 guys is up there, I'm taking him. If not, like, Bo Nix, I don't think is worth that 12 pick, given the situation you are in. So I would try to trade down from that spot, hope that maybe, Bo Nix is still out there if I'm like drafting down to 20. If he is not, do I take a flyer on Michael Penix, or do I again draft down or address other needs? I probably address other needs, roll with Jared Stidham for a year, maybe take like a 3rd or 4th round flyer or I don't know if Spencer Rattler is still out there, or Michael Pratt, Jordan Travis, some guys like this. Just put them out there trying to find even a steal for a QB, because he is going to be having Ben DiNucci and Jarrett Stidham competition. So if he can outplay them, go with him. But I would probably not spend 12th pick on Bo Nix in this year's draft, given that I don't have a second and I have several other needs. So I would be looking to trade down and try to go for, like, overall the approach, accumulate as many picks as possible, try to give these players a chance, because they will have a chance on this roster, and go from there. Hope that I can find like several players that they can start this rebuild quite nicely going forward. What does this say about Denver's window? Like, honestly, they are one of the 3 teams that I just don't see how they would win Super Bowl within the 3-year time span. Like, I think the Russell Wilson situation just hampers this franchise like so much. It's $85 million over 2 years in that cap. You don't have a franchise QB. You don't have, like, beside the online, you don't have a stronghold, and even there, like, you kind of let go of Lloyd Cushenberry for some reason. So yeah, I just don't see how you would win a Super Bowl with this roster within 3-year time span. I just don't see it. Like, what would have to happen? You hit on pretty much all of these late round picks that we've talked about. You find your, I don't know, Michael Pratt in 3rd round, and he is going to be amazing with the guys that you put around him. And then maybe the window is slightly open, but I just don't see that, man. I think the situation is really bad. And the best you can do, I think, for Denver is do the rebuild this year. Play with the guys that show up good plays this next season. In the meantime, find your franchise QB, whether it's next year's draft or this year's draft, or somehow it's Jarrett Stidham, but he's not. Spoiler alert, sorry. And, for 2076, maybe you can compete. But I don't see it any earlier than that. And even then, you will have Chargers with Harbaugh and Justin Herbert. You will have Chiefs and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And, I mean, I hope very good Raiders. So it's a hard situation, man. Like, I don't think it's the worst situation. I think that's still on the horizon. I'm not sure if I will put it to Saints or the Panthers. I have to flip a coin on that one. I think it's Saints, but spoiler alert. But it's really bad. So I'm sorry if I was too negative on this one. I don't feel like it's been influenced that much over, like, my dislike towards the way the situation with Russell was handled. But I just think overall this is just a really, really bad place, given the roster, given the money situation. And yeah, you don't even have like a plethora of draft picks to compensate for the lack of talent that you have. So that's me. Sorry that this was a bit of a depressing episode. Sorry for the Denver fans, but this is how I feel about you. If you prove me wrong, good for you. Like, I'm, despite like the beef with a friend of mine, like, I don't wish Denver anything bad. I just don't like your management for the way they treated Russell, and I think like you are in a shitty situation. So that's just it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Please let me know down in the comments if this was like way too much, like from an emotion standpoint of view or whatever. I will appreciate that, but I hope I did my best. I really tried to be as neutral as I can, just give you the really like behind the GMIs, because that's what we're trying to do here, being neutral, being sensible, being rational. So I've tried to do that. Let me know if I succeeded. And till next time, see you and have a nice day. Bye.